All right, I've got 9 o'clock. Jay, would you lead us in prayer? Thank you, sir.
Lord, thank you for this day, for watching over us, for being with us. Please be with the commissioners as they go about the county's business, and please help them to make decisions in line with your will. Please, Lord, send us rain and off on people.
Thank you. Great prayer. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone. We're in a regularly scheduled Eastland County Commissioners Court meeting. It is July the 25th, 5 months till Christmas. And all commissioners are present. And County Judge, we have a quorum also at the table for the record, County Auditor and County Clerk. Item number 1 is to read and sign the minutes. And I have a set of minutes from July the 11th. I think that's the only set of minutes I have.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have any questions or comments on the minutes? May we have a motion to accept the minutes as presented? Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed, same sign. And that carries. All right, that takes us to item number 2, fiscal year 2023 budget workshop. This is one that we normally have at the end of the budget process, into the agenda, but we're going to move up in front. We do have several department heads here with us as well. And I've been asked that we give a little bit of time to Leo with rents and benefits. Leo, would you come up and talk to us about the employee benefit plan overview?
Sir,
Yeah, come on up.
thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. Commissioners.
How are you today?
Thank you. Great. Thank
Good.
you very much. Appreciate it. So, real easy today. I just wanted to kind of give you all our recommendations. We had reviewed this already with Loretta, and we wanted to make sure that everybody was fully aware of what our recommendations were for your decision making at a later date. Currently, we would recommend that we renew with Texas Association of Counties, TAC. They provided us with a 5.9 increase in premium. Right now in this insurance world, 5.9 is actually pretty darn good rate. We have seen throughout, not just TAC, but throughout all of our carriers, Blue Cross, Cigna, United, et cetera, has been really aggressive in their renewals. Based on your all's loss ratios over the last 3 years, which has reached about 130%, that means they've been paying out $1.30 on every dollar of premium collected. So they're underwater, if you will. So based on all of that collectively, it appears that the renewal with TAC at a 5.9% increase is probably going to be our best bet. They also provided us with a little bit of a decrease in our dental premium as well, 2.5% or almost 2.25% on the dental, and that was a decrease. So there's a little bit of money savings there. As far as your how your plans work, you do have a health reimbursement arrangement, an HRA that reimburses employees for a portion of their deductible. Our recommendation would be for you to continue to do that as you've been doing in years past. And then one of your plans is a health savings account, a HSA qualified plan. The county has been very generous and has, in the last several years, given $1,000 to employees that enroll in the HSA qualified plan only, not the PPO, only the HSA. You all split your contribution, I think, half in April and half in October, or half in October, half in April. Our recommendation would be to continue to do that. That is ultimately your decision, but that is our recommendation as well. Now, your vision with Superior and your basic and voluntary life with Mutual of Omaha that is in a rate guarantee right now. So we don't recommend any changes to that. So Superior Vision, Mutual of Omaha, basic and voluntary life, rate guarantee, would recommend no changes. What we are recommending, however, is a transition, a little bit of a transition from the normal enhanced benefits that we typically have with AFLAC to more of a carrier-based Mutual of Omaha group chassis, if you will, benefit for short-term disability. Now, the short-term disability plan is a voluntary plan, meaning that that would be employee paid, nothing paid by the county, solely paid by the employee. I am a person who is very, very adamant about short-term disability. We call it paycheck insurance. I have used it, and my plan is to tell the employees at open enrollment how important that benefit is. Now, that benefit can only be implemented if we have a certain percentage of employees participate. Mutual of Omaha makes it a voluntary benefit, and they say, they gave us the number of about 15 people, 14 or 15 people. If you have this many employees participate in short-term disability, then we can actually engage and write the plan. If we only had, for example, since it's a voluntary benefit, employee paid, if we only had 3 people interested, then Mutual of Omaha would say, we can't write that policy, and they would have to back off on that. So we have to get at least 14 or so people on that plan. Usually if it were, in the range, Mutual of Omaha's, they work with us. But if we're just way off of that percentage, then we're not going to be able to write the plan. So it is a voluntary benefit. Yes, Judge.
You've got contingent on 15%. Is it 15% or 15 people?
I'm sorry. So it is 15%, but of your total population right now, you're at about 93, 95 employees is my understanding. Okay. So that's kind of just a basic number. It is, however, 15%. So if it was 100 people, 100 employees, it would be 15 people. I think the quote, if I'm not mistaken, said 14. I think it said 14. But again, it depends on your total eligible employees. And if the number was 14, for example, and we were only able to get 13, then I would go back to Mutual of Omaha and say, come on, let's just implement this plan. But if the number was 14 and we only got 7, then we're kind of a little bit off there. So again, a voluntary benefit, that's something that's offered by AFLAC right now. We're wanting to transition that and move it away from AFLAC onto a group chassis. Wonderful, wonderful benefits. I am one person that has used short-term disability, as I said before, and it is huge. It comes in super handy when you cannot work because of a qualified disability. Your telemedicine plan used to be called My Telemedicine. Now it's just a company name change is all they did, and they went to a company called they changed their name to Lyric. So My Telemedicine is now Lyric, and you all offer the telemedicine benefit along with a behavioral health component, which is phenomenal. So we would recommend just continuing with that. There is no price change on that. Lastly, number 8, the voluntary enhanced benefits. Again, with the thought and the theory of moving away from AFLAC and letting the employees know, if that's the decision, that we're moving away from AFLAC. Now, AFLAC has a program where if you want to stay with AFLAC, you can. You just don't payroll deduct it here at the county, but individual folks can keep their AFLAC. AFLAC just works with them one-on-one if they want to do that. But a payroll deducted voluntary benefit would be that we would suggest moving to Mutual of Omaha for your accident plan, which covers things like, I go to an urgent care because I sprained my ankle or I broke my leg or my kid had a football injury or whatever. Any type of accident is usually what they cover. They pay a certain amount, just like AFLAC does, right? Out for any type of an accident. And then there's a critical illness benefit that they offer as well for heart attacks, strokes, and things like that. So moving from the traditional AFLAC component, letting employees make their own decision. If they want to stay with AFLAC, they can. But payroll deducting here at the county with the Mutual of Omaha benefits. We have found, and I think probably the county auditor's office would echo this, that Mutual of Omaha has been very, very prompt on their claims payments. We had my condolences for the death of your deputy here some time back, but they were very prompt in paying that claim. We had a little bit of a struggle, candidly, with the AFLAC claim, and there was a lot of running around and people we had to contact, and so that was very, very frustrating for the county auditor's office. I don't know if anybody's aware of that or not. I know Loretta, she's so sweet, and Galia, they're so awesome, and Kelly. But y'all, I think we're trying to move to a more group focused benefit for some of these things. Now, these are our recommendations. I know that no decisions are going to be made today. I just wanted to come and again, thank you for allowing me to be here to just provide a little bit of an update and then answer any questions that you might have as well.
This all looks like a good idea to me, gentlemen. What is the Commissioner's Court take on this?
I do have a question, Judge. Currently, the employees are offered a cancer policy through AFLAC.
Okay.
Would that not be covered underneath Mutual of Omaha?
Yeah, so that's not something that we explored.
Okay.
Can we do that? Sure, we can. But again, if that cancer, if the folks that are happy with AFLAC, they can keep that.
Mm-hmm.
We can surely explore to see if Mutual of Omaha has a cancer product. There's no problem, no issue with that at all.
This would be for a new customer coming in, not one that has a prior policy. It's
right.
for a new one.
Right.
A new application coming in.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You have some new employee come in and they wouldn't have access to the AFLAC, obviously, because they don't have it in place. But maybe they want some type of a cancer policy and they want to look to y'all for that. So
Let's say that it's only offered to new employees. So if we dropped AFLAC, my cancer policy would be the option to pay it out of my pocket, non-payroll deductible, but I wouldn't be offered the Mutual of Omaha, correct?
No, you could keep your AFLAC, and then whatever interested you on a Mutual of Omaha basis, if you wanted to enroll in that, you could do that.
If the cancer policy was available.
Yes. Right. Currently, right now, it's not, and we're planning on doing open enrollment. 16th and 17th is what our dates are planned for open enrollment. So I can surely reach out to Mutual of Omaha and see what they have regarding a cancer plan, and maybe. Unfortunately, we have a lot of stuff that's already kind of things that are going on behind the scenes that really haven't regarding the accident, the critical illness, and stuff like that. So we would. I'm just jabbering. Yes, I'll get you some information. I'm just thinking in my mind. I'm thinking out loud. So yes, we'll look into getting some cancer. I don't know if Mutual of Omaha offers that,
Okay.
but I will find out.
That'd be great. Thank you.
So if you have an AFLAC plan already, will it still come out of your?
No, so it would not.
So you're going to have to handle that yourself.
And AFLAC's very open and very willing to do that. They want to keep their coverages with employees. When employees, for example, when employees leave or retire or quit or get fired or whatever, a lot of times, they leave AFLAC and that employee, AFLAC's still going to try and engage them and do a non-payroll deducted benefit.
So instead of coming out of your payroll, it would not come out of your payroll. You get the full payroll. Then you have to buy your own AFLAC if you want to continue that policy.
But you can continue it. It will just switch to direct pay.
Right.
You pay with your credit
From the
card.
employee.
Right.
No longer a payroll deducted benefit, but now you pay with your credit card or electronic fund transfer, however they want to handle the payment. But yes, we can look at that cancer. I didn't. We didn't even think about that. Yeah. So
It was once in a lifetime policy that AFLAC, offered, and it was great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we can continue to talk about that, but yeah, right now the recommendations here: critical illness, accident, and then a short-term disability, all packaged with Mutual of Omaha. Every employee is going to have. Mutual of Omaha has assured me that every employee would have a personalized packet, and it would have your name, some of your information on it, and then it would have your specific rates for any one of these coverages that we're adding.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Anyone? We have several department heads, elected officials, employees. Anyone else out there have a question about the employee benefit plan? We're trying to make it work. I'm astounded that we didn't get about a 10% increase in TAC because we've really been underwater with them for 3 years.
we have other TAC clients that did get kind of hit fairly hard. And when we saw your all's renewal, we were like, "Oh, really? That's pretty good." Because again, based on loss ratios, and not pointing any fingers to anybody in here, right? But based on loss ratios, carriers like Blue Cross and Cigna, United Healthcare, they like to be right around the 80% loss ratio, meaning they collect $1 in premium from you for every dollar, they pay out 80 cents in claims. They like to be there or below, right?
I think that's called profit.
Yeah, well,
they've got to make a profit somewhere along the way.
They do, but sometimes when you have, and you all over the last several years have been running at about 130%, right? Paying out $1.30 in claims they are for every dollar they collect. So that's a little above 80, right? However, I do have some clients that are running in the 600% loss ratio.
I thought we were unattractive.
Yeah. So there are, I mean, every client's different, and you have some that are running in the 50% loss ratio. So it's all over the board. But when we got the 5.9, we were happy.
Yeah,
we were happy.
Okay. Anything else for Leo while he's here? All right, Leo. Thank you for bringing that information to us.
I really appreciate your time, and I look forward to seeing everybody on the 17th.
Okay.
Thank
Is
you.
that the 17th of August?
It is of August, yes, sir.
Okay.
16th and 17th, or 17th and 18th.
16th and 17th.
Okay.
Tell me what to do.
All right. We're going to continue on then with our 23 budget workshop. And what we're going to talk about, and you'll see it on the next item up, which is 3, about reducing conference and training expenses. And it kind of ties into that. But we're going to also look a little bit further out into fiscal year 24. We're working on 23 right now. But 24, we've got to make some changes in the amount of expenditures that we have each year. And we've kind of worked out a plan, and I won't be here in 24, but it's got to get, the foundations need to be laid for it. Commissioner Raines, you want to take that on the plan for 24 maybe?
We're looking long term, and Loretta thinks we'll run out of everything in 2 years. I think closer to 4. And when I say run out of money, I mean sending people home without pay. That drastic. So what we're looking at this year is reducing travel and conference expense to whatever it takes you to get your hours. Like us, it's 15 hours. We're able to do it on $1,500. And I understand that not everybody can do that, but that we're looking at what you need is what we're going to pay for. That's it. Long term, we're looking at eliminating all part-time positions next year. So October of 24. That's a savings of about $171,000.
We're planning that far ahead, so that gives you time for your part-time people, excluding dispatch part-time. And I don't want you to get into a sweat back there, Sheriff, but excluding dispatch part-time, that gives the part-time employees of Eastland County about a year and a few months to make a decision about where they want to go to get another job, part-time, full-time, whatever. Go ahead. Sorry.
A year funded. And then we'll have to reevaluate in 25. What we're trying to avoid is a couple of things. We're trying to avoid having to pass along an expense of insurance to the employee, which is what Brunson has asked us to do for several years now. And not eliminating longevity pay, which longevity pay, when it was initially set up, it was said that it would be done as long as it was viable budget-wise. So we're trying to not have to do that. I'm not saying that we're not going to have to do it, because dollar-wise, we're $2.3 million overspent with the current budget, just the way it is. We've made the commitment not to raise taxes again this year, so I don't anticipate that happening. But even if we did, it only generates about $230,000. Is all. If we raised it to the 3.5, it only generates about $230,000. So you look at it like that, we'd have to be zero increase for the next 10 years and max out the tax rate to even get back above water. Well, that's not going to work. So we've got to start somewhere and work our way back.
You're trying to figure out a pathway to get us off the path that we're on.
Correct.
It's just going to get worse as we go.
And without damaging, or I don't want to say, but it is damaging, the payroll part of employees. Last year was 11% increase in health insurance. We pay what, right at $1 million, a little over $1 million health insurance a year for the employees, Eastland County. So 5.9% don't sound like a lot until you figure out we're paying $1 million for health insurance. 11% doesn't sound like a lot until you add 11% last year and 5.9% this year of that $1 million that we had to adjust to. It adds up. It adds up quickly, and we've got to turn the tide. That's what we're looking
How many part-time employees?
at. 7.
And does that include courthouse, road hands, jail, not dispatch?
Jail doesn't have anybody. That's 3 from the road and bridge and 4 from the courthouse.
Jail has part-time right now.
The jail does.
You mean the SO?
The jail.
The secretary's paid out of that.
Oh,
Paid out of that,
But
she's
we
going full-time.
put her position up to full-time.
Yeah.
yeah. So we can.
So there won't be,
eliminate
there's
that.
not a part-time in SO or jail in the 23 budget. It's the 7 that we're talking about that everybody in the courthouse and road and bridge that have part-timers. We took it down to those 7 people.
Yes, ma'am. 7 includes you.
I know that's a bitter pill to swallow, and for the employees, it directly affects them, but we've got to make some changes here, folks. And we can just go ahead and talk about the next item, which is number 2. It's consider budget reduction for conference and training expenses for all departments. We've all got a mandated number of hours that we have to be trained. It's mandated by the state legislature. We need to get that back to where that's all you're doing is just what's legislated, just what you've got to do. So we can cut the expenses down on the budget for the training and conference expenses. I know every department's a little different on how that works, but we've got to get that back down to where it's bare bones.
Okay, I need to bring this up because I have employees that all have separate functions. They have to have training in their functions. Same with Kathy. Same with the DA. Same with, so are you eliminating, because our employees aren't required to have hours, but if they're not trained on their duties.
We could do the same thing with our people, though. We could send them to grader training. We could send them to work site safety training. We can send them to all kinds of stuff, but we don't do it. Okay? Somewhere along the line, if it's necessary and we have to pay for it, fine. If it's not, then I don't think we're going to pay for it. They want a 7% pay raise. They don't want to pass on any expense to the employee. Concessions are going to have to be made, or we will do away with pay raise and we will pass on expense to the employee. That's the only way it's going to be feasible and functional.
On what Loretta says, yes, as every office has many different functions that they're required to take care of. Different courts, different, we wear all so many different hats. So we can't go to just one school that covers everything we need. There's a lot like legislation years. They might touch on the new legislation, but never really get to the meat of it until we go to tax conference. And I would love to send my employees, but it's just not cost effective. So that's my issue there. That's right. Because the County and District Clerks Association, I don't know about anyone else, but we get grant funds from the Texas Judiciary Commission. And what it does is reimburse the county for a portion, whatever our executive board sets. So like they'll pay for mileage, IRS rate, and then hotel, this last time they paid $104 for that. We expend the funds, they reimburse the county. So like this last lodging, I don't know, it was like $600. The county's getting almost $500 back from that grant fund. So that's how our association works. Luckily this year, Donna went to Probate Academy, and even though I didn't attend, they overrode it and let Donna get reimbursed. So it came back to the county, which was a great blessing on that. If we choose, I'm just thinking out loud, if we choose to attend more than what you're allowing us for our statutory duties, would it be considered a donation to the county if it was paid out of my personal funds?
No, because you're not, the county's not paying for it.
Well, I know it's a lot to soak in, but if we don't ride the ship, we're going to go down with it. I mean, that's the simple deal on it.
And I understand my travel budget has stayed the same for many years. I barely get by with that.
And then the new computer stuff coming in, which is what, 160,000 extra a year, something like that, to pay for this new Tyler software that
Ours is
everybody
free.
wants. I know, for right now.
Except for the conversion.
Yeah. So yeah, think what it'd be if yours and Tessa's wasn't free.
Oh yeah, we know that price.
You know, and it's already 160,000 extra for that.
Well, we don't have a whole lot of time left to work on it.
No.
Looking at the budget calendar, 25th, certified values are due from the President's District. We've got that in.
Have we got that in?
Yes.
That just came
You
in.
have it.
Oh, 10 this one.
Yes.
August the 2nd, we've got to submit the tax estimates and submit the appraisal roll. Chief appraiser must certify the anticipated collection rate. On the 5th, chief appraiser's got to submit the no new revenue tax rate, which actually he's already done that. August the 8th, we've got to make a decision on proposed tax rate. We're getting up to a deadline on what we've got to get done. And I realize everybody's office operates differently. My office operates differently than the treasurer's office does and the auditor's office does. But we've got to make some decisions here to trim that back. Trim back to what we actually have to have. Yes, sir.
Just a question. How is the court proposing department by department that we go through that process? Are you asking us as department heads to take action?
I would ask department heads to do that, look at their own budgets. Y'all know your budget better than anybody else, and make those trims, make that decision. But we've got to get that back to us in a very, very short turnaround. So we can we're on version 2, version 3 is in the process. We've got to get that done quickly. I don't know, Robert, do you want them?
No, I think that's great. It gives them the opportunity to.
Well, instead of us just dropping a big hammer and saying, here's what it's going to be, because, new county judge coming in has got to have 30 hours. Within the year after that drops down to 16 hours. Commissioners all have to have 16 hours. Everybody that's an elected official has statutory requirements. Judge Spear, Judge Glenn, you've got to have statutory requirements done for your CLEs. So it's all different. You know your budget better than anybody else. You've got to go in there and trim some on the conference and travel. You know better than anybody else how that works, but we've got to get that done pretty quickly because of our budget on budget count.
I just need to know what the court wanted us to do. And if I could, just brief on some whole lot like that. For attorneys, for the requirements fixing our CLE every year. We did not increase from last year to this year or the year before. 3 or 4 years now. Several new things. Pretty much required. Get does. Funding is available. If you get a certification, then the class is free. Certification. Offset. A little bit difficulty. 10% inflationary environment where hotels are going up, gas mileage is going up. I'm not whining. I'm going to do what I can. Every month, my office is some of the staff.
Mr. Raines?
My 2 cents is this: we give everybody the opportunity to do it on their own, and then if they don't get it done next year, we're going to do it. I mean, that's the way I look at it. I mean, but I'm one fat guy sitting up here. There's at least two others. I went like this, Judge, and it wasn't towards you.
The sheriff department probably one. Licensing.
Well, we have 45 altogether, including dispatch. And every one of them is state licensed, mandates, all that stuff. Now, we've already cut out conferences and all that junk. And I try not to go to conferences because I personally don't believe in them. But we've gone to a lot of online training. I haven't increased the travel expenses. That's what kills you, hotels and travel and all that stuff. We've gone to a lot of online stuff. But we have to keep up with all the mandates. And every time the legislature meets, they think we need something else. And so a lot of our stuff, I did increase mine, I think $5,000 for the year, but that's to cover. Well, we did 3,500 hours worth of training with that last year. I mean, we're doing our mandates and then some with that amount of money. So, I mean, we're really trying to streamline as much as we can and put in for reimbursements with who we can. Dispatch reimburses some, but for the sheriff's office and the others, there's nobody that reimburses us for that. So, association. So, anyway, it's going to be tough. We're trying to be professional and get the training that we need and all the liability training that we need to keep us from getting sued. Costs us a lot more than that $5,000. Anyway.
Well, I think Sheriff Werger makes a good point. There's so much that's available online now. We can do a lot of training, not have to travel. I know during 20 and 21, we caught most of our hours online, picked them all up because they finally allowed commissioners to do that. So see what you can do online and not have to travel. See what you actually absolutely have to have, and then bring it back to us. We have 2 meetings coming up in August. I think it's the 8th. The 8th and the 22nd for the 2 meetings that we'll have in August. We've got some budgetary deadlines that we've got to get done. We should be having the budget pretty well finalized by towards the end of August. So that gives us a couple of weeks for you to go through your budget and look and see what you can pare down and still get what you need. But we need to reduce the expense on the travel and the conference expense, whatever you can do some research, see what you can find online. Okay?
Since we have the Leo's fund, it's all included in the budget, even though it's a separate item that they give it strictly for our training. Is that going to be affected in there? Okay.
That's one of those dedicated funds that we don't have any budgetary control over.
Right. Y'all include it in the budget. So
Well, we have to have it in the budget before we can spend it. It's got to show it coming in and going back out.
Okay.
Becky?
May I just ask that you consider Summer is very mindful when she's going through the budget to make sure, that we only put one. But that said, elections is under a microscope. And we've got different groups that are targeting election officials. So please just keep in mind that we don't want to be a liability to the county.
We don't want you to be allowed to.
And that we do online training when it's available, but then, you know, when we need to travel last year and then this year it's coming up again next week, or this coming, when we get to go to Austin. And that face to face, it really helps us out as a group, be able to see it firsthand, to clarify, learn, you know, what the spirit of the law is instead of just the letter of the law. And that training comes in handy. So, like I said, we do not want to be a liability.
Okay.
And so, as much education as we can get, especially in this time with all the law changes, machine changes, and different groups that are out there just looking for something to go wrong. That's the
Thank you. And as elected official, I appreciate what you and Summer have done all these years. It's not been easy sometimes. My goodness.
So
do I.
Summer, she really cares about what she does. And she wants to make sure that it's done right first.
And she's very good about documenting what went on. So when there's something comes up, she shows it to me and says, "Here's what I did. Here's what they said. Here's what's not right." Any other elected or appointed officials? I've got. I think y'all went at the same time.
One of my concerns is Kathy and I are both on the board of directors next term. Our association is trying to do more of, like, we have a meeting coming up, so with it being so close to another conference, we want to do it online. But our association doesn't have a lot of online education. That's not an option. In 2024, they're trying to make one of our conferences online for those of us trying to save on travel. But being on the board and we're required to attend all of these meetings is kind of like
Does your association not pay for y'all, for the directors of the board to travel and go? Really? Mine, ours.
executive board, but not the board of directors.
Oh, okay, okay.
Well, I'm on the executive board, and the only way my association pays for it is if there's training, like if we have a meeting when there's training, they don't pay for it because there was already training.
You're already there.
Right. So if it's a meeting that's called that we go to, the board will reimburse. But they try to do their meetings in association with trainings.
Ms. Tessa, how many hours do you got required?
I have to get 20 hours.
20?
And I always get well over that. But that's because if you don't go, I mean, there's no online. There's no way to get anything.
At one class, I'd say, how many hours do you usually get?
At one conference?
Yeah.
Anywhere from 12 to 15-ish, probably.
I'm 17, but
Yeah, but that's like, sometimes they have like extra things to do with the vendors and do this and that thing. You get,
Yeah.
It's like, and then, but
So if you went to 2 conferences, you'd have your hours, correct?
yes, 2. And that's okay if I could hit 2 of the clerk conferences, but I also have the district clerk conference, which I get a wealth of knowledge from that usually. That one. And there are a couple here or there I try to miss and I try not to go to, but if I send my employee again, they don't reimburse for that grant. So I can account for that grant and basically just keep getting it, you know, and try to take that out of the budget, but without that grant, yeah, that I feel like I'd be sunk. I wouldn't make the the board meetings like that. And then you have the region meetings on top of those that the directors run. So, and you have 2 a year.
Christina, you,
I'd like to go to my part-time because they'll know I've already pared down my travel to one conference other than investment. And I've never asked for more than my office could use. There are times I could use a second, many times I could use a second. So I've never asked for that because I don't want to on the budget. Separation of duties in my office. We have $12 million, give or take. $8 to $20 million. And I can't put that on one person. If one person's gone, the other person can't do everything.
I guess mine goes back to that software system. Is this thing going to help anybody as far as people having people, whatever? Supposedly it's going to make everything faster and better.
Well, software was never meant to replace an employee.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, you go
That's
around
the way
and
I
you
do it.
look, and there's
Well,
there's
who's
hundreds
gonna
of
run that program?
there's hundreds of companies that are investing in technology to reduce staffing.
Okay, so like for instance, I can hire an indexing company to index, but it's going to cost the county $25,000, and that's what Donna does. So, do you want to spend $25,000?
Or 50 on her, because that's about what it costs us. So
But-
you're saying we could eliminate one position and save 25,000 is what you just told us.
But here's the other reason: who's going to wait on the front? Who's going to help with court matters? Who's going to do the probate?
Like me, you freed up one person.
Well, not if you're talking about eliminating her.
So she's the only one that does that.
No, we all are cross trained.
Okay.
But yet,
So-
if Raina's busy, I mean, she's been gone for a week, and I've been working her spot, and there's no free time with county court.
Well, it's a pretty simple concept. We have a hard time getting employees now. How hard do you think it's going to be if they have to chip in $250 every paycheck to pay for health insurance?
Would you
I mean, in
would you do
reality,
anything with their salary if they had to?
no, it wouldn't make no difference.
Now,
If we
you'd
did
have a
something,
lot of people quit.
okay, that's my whole point. Right
I
now.
get it, Robert. But it's still you still have to have people.
Yeah.
To run that software.
So what if you don't have enough money to pay them? What are we going to do then, Jack?
I don't know. Cross that bridge when we get there.
That's why we're trying to cross it right
I
now.
understand.
We're trying not
Little
to
by
fall off.
little.
We're trying to make it where it's still there. We wait
And
till
y'all
then.
don't want to raise taxes. Well, this year for sure.
No,
Okay.
if y'all want to raise taxes, our jobs are elected to run for them. That's all I can tell you, because everybody's sitting right there at that camera and want to know if you're going to raise their taxes.
And the value's already raised this year again.
Yeah,
Value.
It's basically, it's basically already raised. Even though we kept it right there the way I look at it. You know, they've already raised it. We didn't even have to do it.
They raise the value, which makes their
Right,
taxes go up.
right.
But it still looks bad on us.
even
Well-
though we'll generate no additional revenue, and
Yeah.
it still makes it look bad.
Sure.
I was, like I say, on the computer software, I thought it would, I was understanding, it's going to make everything better, everything easier. I thought if it did that,
It was worth
it is
$170,000.
worth that money. You know, I thought it was going to be just gravy.
Well, I think it will make it easier. And actually, maybe once we get trained, paper reduction, cost in paper, because then you can e-citation, e-service, e-warrants.
Ronnie, address that issue. Hours, everybody's tied together. Have it put it in one location.
That
And
doesn't include financial.
oh,
That's not gonna decrease the
no,
working
no,
hours.
I'm talking about the legal system.
Yes, that, yes, but it doesn't.
But as far as the financial part, the auditor's office and your office, it's going to reduce the duplication. Should. Somewhat.
But it ain't going to affect you at all. It ain't going to make it better or worse.
It may make the bookkeeping side better and better for y'all on your purchase orders, but it's not gonna decrease my workload. You're still gonna have to do the same thing.
Well, we hope there are a few more things that we don't have to produce reports like we have to now. And honestly, our technology is antiquated. I mean, and our vendor has said they're not spending any more money to improve the product. So we're at the point we have to change. I mean, it's really not a choice.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of a choice.
Well, it is, but
I mean, what was it? Big Chief having a number 2 pencil?
Well,
we can't go back there.
there you go back to mandates from Office of Court Administration, Supreme Court of Texas, elections, DOJ,
comptroller.
comptroller, that they require electronic.
County judge position will have to be additional hours because it's a new one coming in. He's got to have, he, she, whoever, got to have 30 hours of training. Most of that, though, is reimbursed. Office of Court Administration through the Texas Judiciary pays for that. So I think that will be covered by reimbursables. Hopefully, I know y'all, most of y'all don't get reimbursables from anybody, but that's how that'll be covered for the next judge coming in.
And I appreciate the software from you guys. Ours was free. It was a moment that we'll probably never have back again. I do appreciate that. I do understand why y'all are needing the code. And I do appreciate y'all bringing each department head in here to ask. Because I've been through budgets before where you come back in and you're cut $50,000 without even ask your input.
Anybody else want to add anything in that hasn't spoken yet? We've got several other elected officials that haven't made any comments.
I just worry about I've got 2 part-time employees. They depend on the income, but we depend on them being there. I do get those conferences. A lot of times somebody gets sick or the kid gets sick, and so that's going to leave 2 people in my office online. I'll look for a lot of closures.
Well, keep in mind that's for the year, not for fiscal year 23. That's fiscal year 24. So maybe there's some planning in there that can be done.
Robots.
I can't go downstairs.
Oh, and an elevator.
Okay. Anything else? President?
Do you
And-
want to go over the revenue?
We can do that.
Okay.
If you all want to look at what the revenue looks like, we've got the certified revenue that came in from the tax appraiser's office.
The chief appraiser provided valuations, the certified values. And those are on the back part. The number I will use for tax revenue is on page. I don't see page numbers. It's on the form 50856 and it's line 21, which says 2022 total taxable value.
It's page 3 in the actual email that Randy Clark sent.
Okay. It's cut off at the bottom. I see that.
I'm sorry, what's the line number?
22.
21.
21. So total taxable value ended up at $1,963,775,429. It then goes into the voter approval tax rate on that page, the calculations. But if you will look at the last page, in section 8, it has all the rates. The no new revenue rate is 36.1052 per $100 evaluation. The voter approval tax rate, and this is the unused increment rate is included in this rate. It is 42.8990 per $100. And then the de minimis rate, which allows us to increase $500,000 of revenue over the no new revenue rate, is 38.7179 per $100 of valuation. And I have done a calculation on the cover page showing at the current valuation, or at the new valuation and the current tax rate, which we can't use because it's above, we can use it, but it would go to election. Then the no new revenue tax rate will allow us to increase revenue over fiscal year 2022 tax revenue, $117,000, $117,190.24. If the voter approval tax rate is adopted, it will increase revenue $1,424,757 over fiscal year 2022. And the de minimis rate, if that rate's adopted, it would increase revenue $620,004.34 over the 2022 rate. Sorry, the 2022 tax revenue, not the 2022 rate, because the 2021 rate was adopted.
And all this is calculated on 98% collection.
Yes, that is what Randy Clark estimated.
Yes, sir.
Proposed budget is going on 36.153.
No, actually, in the proposed budget right now, we're still at the revenue for fiscal year 2022, which is the 21 taxes, because we didn't have certified values. So when we file the proposed budget on the 8th, actually file the proposed budget, we're just work budgets right now. When we file that, I'll have to calculate which rate we want to use.
The good news is we do have a little over $24 million of new improvements in the county.
Some people are still building.
Oh man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Questions, comments? Do the department heads think they can submit back to the court before the 8th meeting, whatever your changes are going to be in your expenses? Okay. I'm pretty much, nobody's head's exploding out there, so I'm pretty much thinking I'm getting some nodding.
Will y'all send out a notice?
I'm sending it out right now. There's only so many hours in a day.
Well, but not everybody's here.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was thinking.
I think the world will get through the courthouse quicker than the internet.
You think?
I think so. I've noticed that over the years.
Fair enough.
All right. Any other questions or comments while we're all here? Yes, ma'am. Becky?
Keep in mind that it will be a conference from the 31st to the 3rd.
Okay, so that gives you the 3rd. You'll be able to.
The 4th has been, we're scheduled to send back the machines for modification.
Okay.
So we have 61 of those. So there might not be a whole lot of time for summer to do that.
Okay. Now I know there are other issues there over summer, and we got to get worked around that. But the quicker we get this back in, the quicker we can get on to the next version, which is the deadline's approaching quickly.
I just wanted you to know.
Yeah.
It'd be awesome for a bit. There'd be little machines into the hard truck waving bye-bye. So,
All right. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Gentlemen, any other questions or comments from Commissioner's Court?
No.
All right. Then anything else in the budget while we're on the budget workshop, 23 budget workshop? All right. Then we will move on. We've taken care of 1, 2, 3. 4 is up next. 4 is discuss, consider purchasing new computer, peripherals, software, and setup from County Records Management Fund for Treasurer's Office. Christine, I think there's some confusion. Did I not need to put that on there?
Yes, it was not supposed to be on the agenda.
Okay. When do you want it back on there?
Well, after I talked to Jerry.
Okay. Okay. So we'll have an 8 and a 22 meeting. Okay. Okay. There won't be a special meeting next month because all the bills get paid on the 8th before the 10th, so there won't be a special. All right. Okay. So can we have a motion in to table item number 4? Motion made and seconded. All in favor say aye. Any opposed, same sign. And if you would, just let me and Betsy know when you want it back on there.
I will.
All right. Good deal.
I think it was confusing because Monday wasn't in our
Right.
email.
Well, I've got a list I keep on my Lotus calendar, items that need to be put in there, and that one popped up. And I thought, okay, let's get that in there. I'd rather have it in there and table it than not have it and need it. So, all right. Item number 5 is discuss and consider, item number 5 is approve the sheriff and constable fees for 2023. And this kind of involves several people here. We've got Sheriff Wegger. Kathy's the one that brings it to our attention. Jay Drusido, Constable Precinct 2, is back there as well. So, Sheriff, tell us about the proposal for the fees starting on January the 1st of 23.
They're the same. I'm proposing we don't change anything. We just changed these for the first time after several years of them not being changed. We just went over last year. So they're the same exact that was approved last year as far as online.
Okay. Jay, any input? You're okay with that? All right. Can we have a motion then to approve the sheriff and constable fees that will begin on January the 1st of 23 in this all the way from summons to taking bonds, commitments, and releases? We have a motion to approve the proposed set of fees.
And allow you to sign.
And allow me to sign the same.
Motion.
What did he say?
Aye. He voted yeah.
I thought he growled at somebody back there.
Well,
Motion made, seconded, and approved. All in favor say aye. Aye. Everybody went aye. All right, good to go.
no.
All right, so 3 there.
Oh,
And that one. All right, thank you. Okay. Let's wait till Commissioner Raines gets back and we can talk about the next item up. All right, item number 6 is discuss, consider Eastland Fire Department presentation for ARPA funds application. Chief Williamson. Yes, sir. Come on up.
Thank you. I failed. I only made 6 copies. I didn't realize there was 7 at the table.
we can make another one.
Can you do any?
I did just one.
Just one more?
Yeah.
She'll bring me one back, Joe. Let
Okay.
Lonnie have that.
Thank you. is incorrect. I'm keeping the one that had to make it. That should be right there.
Well, Sonia took one and she said it.
Oh, good. That's the missing link.
Maybe we can see. We're gonna split it.
Okay, we've got information here from the city of Eastland Fire Department, and they are asking for a strategic vehicle, and the total amount of the funding request, of course, this is out of the ARPA funds, is $24,954.11. Chief Joe, tell us what your proposal is.
So the first 4 pages is the application for the, or first 5 is the application for the ARPA. It describes the purpose and the benefit of this project. So what we're looking at is this, the page, I believe 6, where the proposal, this will put a laptop in our strategic vehicle. We're labeling Battalion 6. It's run out of Station 6 here in Eastland. And it will have a laptop with the AT&T internet connection with a printer, and it will be loaded with our recon data. We'll have Cameo, different software for hazardous materials, Google Earth for tactical and strategic planning. For example, what we used Saturday with the wildland fire out on County Road 328, where we can spot from and work with the Forest Service. The next quotes you see from Motorola Mobile Phone of Texas is the hardware that sets up this equipment. Also, it comes with the Pyramid communication repeater. What that does, it will provide better communications in rural areas when we get distance from the repeater systems. So the purpose is our county fire channel. It does a very good job in saturating the county for communications, but it is also what I consider to be reference to what is our alarm channel. It's the same channel used to dispatch out new emergencies. So when we tangle up that channel with tactical information, it's difficult for dispatch to send out new calls throughout the county. So we're working to get our incidents, for example, the Kid Fire, moved over to a separate channel to clear that alarm channel so that dispatch can alert resources to new emergencies that are coming in. And that repeater will be a benefit to boosting the signal out in rural areas to communicate on the fire ground, if you will. The next one, we are looking at some what are referred to as rugged laptops. These laptops, these tablets, I apologize, it's rugged tablets. They'll be put in every unit at our Station 6 here in Eastland, and they'll integrate with the CAD system. And I think we've talked about the CAD's licensings and that stuff. So the laptop itself and also the tablets will integrate with the CAD system so that when that vehicle responds to a call, we can push a button and the time is all logged in real time. Well, it should be if it all comes together as planned, it will be a big help to the dispatchers and will free them up in having to physically track timing and log times in the system. A lot of it will be done by us in the field electronically. Also, with those tablets being cell phone capability, it will also give us the tracking. So from the battalion vehicle, we can track these tablets and we can know where our resources are on the fire ground by vehicle, not personnel. But if for example, this weekend on County Road 328, we had 4 fire stations out there a total of 8 brush trucks, 3 tankers. There's a lot of accountability to be tracking. We had essentially 3 aspects of the fire. We had a West Division, an East Division, and a North Division. Lots of communication, lots of accountability. Fire going treetop to treetop. It's dangerous stuff, and we've got to be. And that's what this would benefit, is to improve the communications and improve the track, the accountability, and the efficiency. The next quote there is for the mounting hardware that mounts the tablets in the vehicle. And then the last page there shows we would like to improve the insignia on the vehicle to label it as a strategic vehicle. Also, there's some the green lighting denotes that it's the command post. So it can be recognized upon arrival by outside agencies like the Texas Forestry Service and aircraft that's flying over, where they can use it as a point of reference off of to label the geographical locations of the fireground. Some of this stuff is just good business, and some of it, after the last couple of wildland events we've seen, I believe is paramount. This vehicle is owned by the city of Eastland, but we have offered it into anywhere in the county. If it's requested, well, we will send it to any event in the county as a strategic command resource.
Let me ask you a couple of
Yes, sir.
questions. So the Eastland VFD is going to put in $7,700 in the manner of a command module.
It's been purchased.
Okay.
It's actually been installed in the vehicle.
And then the vehicle that you're talking about is already owned by the city of Eastland, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so there are 2 different entities putting in there.
Yes.
Have you already taken all the application process through Langford? That's what this is?
So when I talked to them, that's an expense that has already been, that is not ARPA expenses.
Okay.
Okay.
No,
Those
but
expenses.
I mean, the whole package. Has Jill Finney worked with you on it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And is there a sign off on her in here?
No, I have it via email. The only thing
Okay.
her request was in the initial submission of this application and quotes I did not include the last one. That's all she asked, was include the last quote for the vehicle signage and the light package.
So with that inclusion, it gets her approval through Langford Langford Management.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I have not received anything.
Okay. We probably need her to forward that email to either me or Loretta
Okay.
about it. But she has given you approval via her email.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, that, like I said, the only caveat she sent back was to include this last quote.
Okay.
And then the package looked
Let me
good.
have Sheriff Weger something. Sheriff Weger, since a lot of this ties in and works through dispatch, do you see this being a benefit for dispatch, moving it off to a separate channel like he's talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the problem is that they're doing operations on county fire channel when we've got all these other entities that need to use that channel too. So the best way is for us to give out the call or whatever, and then they get off the channel to a different channel, and they're running operations on that channel. If they need dispatching, they can get hold of us back from county fire.
Like go to VTAC 1 or 2 or something
Right.
out of the way? Okay.
Yeah, that's what we've really been trying to move toward. I understand that stuff happens, and sometimes you need a repeater and all this other stuff to get out. But
so with this in place, and I know you haven't seen exactly what he's talking about. Probably, I don't know. Is that going to interface with dispatch in a good manner? Do you think?
So I believe that part of what he was talking about is the mobile CAD system, which is what we just did the software, all that, and it includes the fire departments and all that stuff too.
Right.
But they've got to have the hardware to be able to run it in their vehicles. We're not providing the hardware; we're the software is there. So
and the hardware is what you're going to be getting
right,
through the grant.
Put the laptop in and the cell service or whatever to be able to do that. And the more people we can get on that, the more integrated we are, and they can check on scene, off scene. They can put in their own notes and all that stuff. It's all housed in one. We got multiple people that are entering their stuff, so it will help. It'll be beneficial.
Chief Fairbanks, it's a good idea to have that set up as a strategic. I hate to call it a strategic command vehicle. You're calling it a strategic vehicle. Good idea to have that?
Well, I mean, yes, I mean, obviously every department should have something that works like that. We have our own system, but you know, sometimes that system's not available. Maybe sometimes Joe's system's not available. So every department having something that's compatible, like all we're using when the new CAD comes in and it's all mobile, we're just using iPads because iPads are easier to update. You know, when it's time for their life expectancy to end, it's just an easier process. Um, just more usable friendly, in my opinion, than buying a computer, because you buy a computer, anybody knows in here, you buy a computer for your office, in a couple of years, it's pretty much junk, right? I mean,
Well,
that's what my concern is about buying a computer.
My question was kind of on a countywide basis. This is something that would be a beneficial use for a countywide basis.
Oh, I mean, yes, if a department
Okay.
requested, yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. Chief Joe, didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
you.
that's fine. Guess I don't have much more to add. It's
It does
just
keep
that
it right under the
with-
25,000.
with the last few events and we're still in a very high risk extreme, or maybe I think right the correct term is we're in a critical fire behavior environment. It can still I think these type of vehicles are huge assets on the fire ground. And the number one, if you look in all, the NIOS reports or close calls reports, the major, typically never left out of one of those reports is communication and command and control. And that's what this shores up for us in firefighter safety, efficiency of being able to communicate and relate to other resources where priorities are. For example, on the kid fire, we can't just have fire trucks out running around just chasing stuff when we have people calling in with priority threat and structures. When we can have those communication links, we can get those resources where they need to be. And that's what this will be a huge improvement for. In the event that we have a hazardous material incident either out on I-20 or on one of our railroads, we will have access to a tremendous amount of data from and the research part off of the laptop, different resources that'll be stashed right there. And again, we want to. I realize there's other departments that are building theirs, and all that would do is shore up, what we're doing, because it would not be unpractical on a large event like we saw in the Eastland County complex, where we had two major fires going on with the Wheatfield fire and the Kid fire at the same time. Also, the Kid fire was so big, it would have definitely deserved to have two strategic command vehicles on that location. So that was one of the complications of the Kid fire. It spread so far so fast, we ran out of actual communications, radio communications with resources because of the distance that the fire traveled. And we're hoping that this will eliminate that. The objective of this is to eliminate those complications.
Okay, so
We've actually been looking at pyramid repeaters also for the vehicles, because once you get past a certain range, the handhelds just are useless for bricks, basically. And the firemen and law enforcement, everybody can't communicate with dispatch. This pyramid repeater would allow everything within about a mile radius, depending on the terrain, about a mile radius, everything would be able to run off.
okay. All right, with that,
Also, in the mobile phone of Texas, I apologize, I did skip something. There is a quote in there. We are installing a radio logger into our station, and this logger will record those tactical channels. Where right now, correct me if I'm wrong, Sheriff, but we are only recording county fire. Is that correct?
We record county fire and the law enforcement. There's another one.
fire law and EMS.
So the only, what's that?
They recorded Cisco fire on one of our incidents. I can't even tell you what all the report.
Well, this would be an 8-channel logger, and it will be able to record up to 8 channels. And so, in the event, I think it would be a great training model to be able to pull those events and listen to them and kind of do a after action review. Also, in the event that something occurred that required some type of investigation or evaluation, we would have that we would have that traffic recorded on a tactical channel that dispatch may or may not have.
Okay.
So it's also in the package.
With that, then, gentlemen, questions or comments from Commissioners Court? All right. Can we have a motion to approve this pending the email or some kind of written approval from Jill Finney or Langford Community Management Services to expend these funds for your project? Do we have a motion for that? Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. And Chief Joe, that if you'll get me that email or get it to Loretta or send it to both of us so
Yes.
we can have it put in here that you definitely got the approval from Jill Finney or whoever at Langford Community Management. All right, good deal.
All right.
All right. You will need to send in the request. How do you want him to send in that request to you? Is this enough to operate with, or?
Normally, what you've been doing is signing approved, and I send them to Jill,
Okay.
and then she gets back with the approval.
Okay. All right.
So if you want to sign one, I'll send the whole thing to her, and we'll just do that process too.
Okay. And I'm going to give that to you.
Okay.
And Art, I'll give that, I'll just hand you, let me have it to,
Okay.
okay.
You did a copy of the signed one.
I'll probably get it from you later, right? Maybe.
I'll copy you on the email.
Yeah, I don't think so. Oh,
You want a copy yourself, Joe?
sure.
Okay. We like to have
It's that
these for
easy.
what we call place keepers. That way we know what we've done here and there's not a question on it. There's yours and one to go. Okay.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, Chief Joe, and you're next up on the agenda, so don't go
Okay.
anywhere.
All right. Thank you. It's an uncomfortable moment. I don't know whether to leave them back.
Just
All right. Anything else on the ARPA? That, all right, then we're going to move on then to item number 7 is discuss, consider modifications to City of Eastland firefighting contract with Eastland County. Chief Joe.
All right. Here's a copy of just a rough draft of some options, some points of discussion. So I would like to make this an education process on myself also. So I was exposed to this contract in June of this year. This is the first time I've seen it. So if there's something that I'm missing, I'm very open to learning here. But when I read it, some of the things I wanted to bring forth and add forward, and then after some of the chain of events that have taken place since I've been the chief of the Eastland Fire Department of January of 2021, I was hoping to kind of see some things in here and open this up for discussion prior to the day that we start getting into a time sensitive of signing the 2023 contract for the next year. As you see, the highlighted parts are to be what I would ask to be considered for removal, and then the bolded italics being added. And the only significant part to that is to change firefighting services to either to something referencing emergency services. Now, for some reason, for the way it's been my interpretation and perception that the county does not want to take on or be a part of a first responder program with the EMS system. And I understand that. But what I would like to see included in this contract is what we would consider technical rescue operations. The firefighting services lend us more to suppression activity, but the fire departments are the only agencies in the county that provide services, for example, of auto extrication. Or other technical rescues. If somebody gets hung up on a billboard, the fire department provides that operation of a technical rescue, be it confined space, high angle, those operations. And so I would like to see the verbiage add those operations in there so that we can operate with this attached to this commission. And we'll talk about that in the additions. I just made the changes for the additional funding that y'all approved for us in the last commission meeting. I attended. I don't remember the date. I apologize. On the additions, those are the topics of discussion. Number one, where the fire department agrees to. So let me real quick. I've had discussions with several, if not all, of the additional county chiefs. I've had more in-depth discussion with some than others. So I'm going to relay this to you all as the Eastland Fire Department, but I think it's something that a lot of the chiefs agree on some of this, and I don't want to speak for them, and that's why it says Eastland. But I do believe that there's some support from the majority of the county chiefs on this. But the Eastland Fire Department agrees to respond to fire and emergency incidents for the purpose of suppression and rescue operations. All fire and rescue incidents will be managed under an incident command system, and the fire department representative will have a delegation of the county judge as the authority of jurisdiction on these incidents. And that ties us to some authority to the county jurisdiction. The county will develop and approve an interagency SOP, standard operating guideline, to be adopted by all recognized fire departments within Eastland County and signed by the judge, outlining the processes and procedures for the mutual aid, automatic aid, incident management, and other topics of best practice. Number three is the judge will serve as a mediator to resolve conflicts and disagreement of operational issues referring to county and territory responses. As we have some of these issues are alive and well today. And please take this as a rough draft and only topics of discussion. These are not written as to be put in. I'm just trying to get the idea on the table for discussion. County will provide representation against legal litigation brought against the fire department representative while working under the authority of jurisdiction of the county. When I leave the city limits and work as an incident commander, if litigation is brought against me, who is my representation? The county will assume responsibility for expenses accrued, and occurring while materials, assets, and other equipment used in order from an outside agency or vendor needed to manage, mitigate, and resolve an emergency incident. The county will assume that number 6, the Eastern Fire Department will have a representative recognized as a liaison to the dispatch center and the E-Force CAD system representative. Eastland County will have this. The county itself was kind of make an agreement to, shall have access to the Eastland Fire Department Emergency Operations Center upon request from the judge. A liaison from our fire department will be provided for setup and equipment operations to help. And that kind of just goes back to that, how we did on the Kid Fire, the Eastland County Complex, the EOC and our fire department was that whole thing was established that morning. So we're working to kind of shore that EOC up and really turn it into a good emergency operations center to host that event, and a lot more practical when the governor comes in. And then the workman's comp coverage for the volunteer participation while working incidents. I know we have that. I don't know where that is. I've never seen that as far as it's just a hand. I don't know. So I was surprised that wasn't in the contract of some form. So
Okay, Joe, well, the reason we have this, not, this is my 16th year to do this, we drafted 8 different contracts. 7 of them are exactly the same because Eastland chose to have it with the city of Eastland instead of Eastland VFD. The other ones all have it with their VFDs. I don't agree to making the changes, and for several reasons. Emergency services is a pretty broad term. We're not actually mandated to supply anything beyond fire suppression outside inside Eastland County. We've never done that. That opens it up pretty broad. The problem becomes we already spend, the county spends a little over 100,000, 110,000 for emergency medical services, EMS, from what we pay to the cooperative and what we pay to the city of Ranger for EMF services. So if you just call it emergency services, that broadens that out way too wide. What we contract with, and your contractor, as are the other 7 volunteer fire departments, your contractors that supply us with wildfire suppression or fire suppression in the unincorporated areas. That's why it says firefighting services. It doesn't say anything extra because we're not mandated to do anything on the county level beyond that.
I don't even think we're required to do that. That's what we chose to do.
Well, and we do choose to do that because that's extremely important, as we all know from all these years of having fires and floods and various things. But we know and we appreciate that the volunteers and the paid firemen go out when there's a water rescue or there's someone hung up in a motor vehicle, has to be used to, have to use your jaws to get somebody out. We appreciate that, but the county has never stipulated that we're paying for that. We give you the amount of money that we give you, which now, of course, this has to go from $5,750 to $7,500 per quarter.
yes,
We'll make those changes. The way this works is next month, well, we're not quite in August yet.
right.
In September, I'll send out all 8 contracts to all 8 entities and get signed, and they get them back to us. And then we have a new interlocal agreement between all of the 8 fire departments. That happens in September. The date will be changed. The amount that we're paying will be changed because we're going from $5,750 to $7,500. The rest of this on the back, I am not in favor of changing these additions. If you make this change without responding to fire and emergency incidents and rescue operations, then all 7 of the other fire departments have to agree to it. I don't want to get one contract that's working for Eastland and that won't work for Cisco or Desdemona. I want to have 8 contracts. And again, yeah, I'm a short timer, but we still have to put this together for everybody that's coming in. I want one contract that everybody agrees to. Mm-hmm. We know exactly what Eastland's going to do. We know what Olin's going to do. We know what Cisco's going to do as far as services. And it's wildfire suppression. The assist, the medical lift assist, all of that. That's great that y'all do that. I mean, I was a volunteer fireman for 10 years. We did that too back then. It's just kind of part of the package. But we don't delineate it as being something that we pay for. We give you the $7,500 per quarter. You send back a report to us per quarter that tells us what the call volume was, what's going on in your department, and then we make the payment. So the rest of this, that's kind of a discussion for some other day. I'm not going to agree with things like we're going to provide legal litigation. We have to hire out our own legal litigation here for the county, unless if it goes beyond what our district attorney will do.
Mhm.
We have to hire all that done. So it's just another contracted expense. You all have cities except for Desdemona, Olin, and that's only two that don't have cities backing them. The other six have cities backing them. So the city should have some kind of liability policy for you. We do supply the workers' comp, and that is a blanket policy that we have. Loretta's got in her office. You're always willing to look at that.
Yeah.
She's going to let you look at that whenever you like. We pay for that. We've paid for that for at least 16 years that I know of. So and that's just me talking. I don't know what the commissioners think about that, but this is going way over and above what we have statutorily agreed to do.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
And it just brought forth some questions to me and my perception
I understand.
and how this system works. Being new back to the area, being new as a chief here, and having experience with some of the few events that have taken place just in my short tenure with the
It's been a little busy
freeze.
year and a half. You know, it got really busier when you got here.
Thank you for that. But with the freeze that affected it, it's not just the city of Eastland, and I'm here wearing the city of Eastland, but I'm meeting with you as a representative to the citizens of the county that we protect, and in that, my perception is when I leave the city, there's a change of hat, so to speak. And I look at it as and again, I don't want this to be debated. I just want to share my ideas and learn. But at that time, I worked for you in the county, and I feel like there's a disconnect between. There could be a disconnect between there and the contract doesn't shore it up. When I put these thoughts together, it wasn't for the 100% benefit to me or 100% benefit to the city of Eastland. Or I think there's some points in here that shore up some good stuff for the county side, and tie us together I feel like in the county I have all the responsibility and none of the authority.
When you're working an incident that involves Eastern Fire Department, you're working outside the city.
Outside the flags.
You're not saying you have responsibility across the county.
Right. Correct.
Okay.
Of course, and it's defined in here when I read it said city limits. That,
And inside your city limits has jurisdictional
has ETJ
superiority over what you can't strip out your city to go respond to something. You have
correct.
You have to keep some of your equipment back.
So when before I was chief, the county's been divided into what we're calling now station primary territory.
Responsible.
ETJ, yeah. So Cisco has a carved out there, the primary authority, the primary response agency to this portion of the county. For example, we meet on the other side of 490. That's theirs. We've run into events. I don't know if this is new to the area, but it's a concept that's been taking place where I've been the incident commander in fires in Cisco's territory, whether Walter was out of town or, so these boundary lines are not iron walls like I think they were at one time. Again, I'm not saying I have the authority over the entire county, so we'll just talk about Eastland's primary response.
You need to look at it like a business model. This is a contract. We're hiring you and your department as a contractor.
Okay.
You're supplying services based upon the contract. And that's what we've done with all 8 VFDs for at least 16 years, probably before that. The contract was similar before I came on board in 2007.
So, and that's where I'm just seeing what, what Gordon Graham calls problems lying in wait, the black swans and the gray rhinos. And that's where some of this, where if we have a fire station, Rising Star, and they say we are not calling carbon to our fires, that's affecting this county contract to how this county is protecting their citizens.
Well, and again, in the business
So
world, that would be a contractor dispute that needs to be resolved between the contractors at some point, or you give another contractor. Somebody in there,
right? And that was just with it being in the contract. If all 8 departments agree to it, it puts in a mediator.
Well, it hasn't happened that we needed a mediator in 16 years, so I'm not sure why we need one now. I don't know.
Yeah.
And there'll be a new person sitting in this chair in a little over 5 minutes. So.
And it's fine. It's just topics that I wanted to bring forth for discussion, just to look at. We had, when I was incident management and commander of the Kid Fire, we were the last fire of the day. So we pulled rigs were coming from other fires. You were on location. You saw what we were dealing with. And I got radio transmissions from units working, said they had to leave and go to town. We couldn't afford to lose those rigs. The reason they had to go was because they were out of fuel. So as the incident commander, I called a fuel transport truck that were reported to staging with diesel and gasoline and filled up brush rigs to put them back in the field and to continue fire suppression efforts. And the Eastland Fire Department paid for that. And that's where I think there should be an expense, or who accrues if somebody falls down.
In the past, we've had to refuel, and refill everything in the field. And I've called TechStop, and they've brought out fuel for us in the past, both gasoline and diesel. I never got the call that we had rigs that were out of fuel, that needed to get right back into fighting the fire. So, again, in the future, that'd be a good call to the emergency management director, who's the county judge.
Sure.
Greg Gotch is a good resource to get somebody from the state to come in. He can immediately call TechStop to bring in fuel.
Okay.
They didn't.
So that's the learning part on my side.
But I'd say within the past at least 15 years, TechStop would bring out fuel. And we've got some ability to do that at the commissioner level, at the road and bridge level, somewhat.
So that's a procedure mistake on my part by calling an outside vendor.
Mistake. I was listening to the radio, and Home and I were out driving around looking at all that. It was pretty chaotic, and a lot was happening. A lot of it could have gone a lot worse. So hats off for what did get done. I'm not condemning or saying it was a wrong move, but there's some other ways to maybe make that work differently in the future.
And that would be the learning part on my. I mean, if somebody something fell in a well and we needed a specialized piece of equipment, then we wouldn't order that asset up.
TechStop, and they didn't have the fuel or whatever. But
no, I went straight to an outside vendor just for lack of not knowing what you just said there.
Okay.
Well, thank you for your time.
Well, and I think I appreciate there's some thought that went into this, and it might be a battle for another day, but we have to do what we can do, what we're mandated to do, what we know needs to be done, without getting too far afield where we can't continue doing what we need to do.
And just on the first responder program with the ambulance, the way that we are contracted with the ambulance for that first responder. So the emergency services, in my interpretation, and it could be better defined if that was an opportunity, but it doesn't relate to the lift assist and the responding. So I like the
strikers
term.
now that do the lift on at least getting them into the machine. Into the back of the
Yeah,
box.
I interpret it as we respond to the EMS calls with the ambulance for Mrs. Smith. That's our goal. But by contract, we respond to those calls to assist the ambulance.
Do you mean your VFD has a separate contract between you
And
and the cooperative EMS?
yes, sir.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's where it.
You mean
In
it's
my
like a mutual-
interpretation,
it's
I
like
was
an
carving
interlocal-
out that contract of the
It's an
emergency.
interlocal agreement between you two.
Mhm.
Are any funds transferred between the two
No.
entities? It's just clear. It's just spelling out the duties between the two entities.
Yeah, and
Okay.
the authority, and a lot of the stuff.
Who does what?
Yeah, who and who manages what? Who answers the final questions, if you will, and so. And that's, what I was trying to see here, just because when I read the current contract, there's a lot of voids in some of these points. But I just wanted to add that the emergency services does not include any transport or EMS because that's a different contract. It's technical rescues and fire suppression. Firefighting services. Does that include command and control, incident management, and firefighting services? I've looked it up. I've had several interpretations. Some say it's all encompassing. Some say no. Firefighting services are water applications, and it has nothing to do with who's in charge. Those are different services. So. That's just the reason for the inquiry, and that's what this is. Please take this as solely an inquiry to have this open discussion. Prior to the day before you send it over and say, "Hey, can we get this signed?" Well, we got a question here. We didn't want to do that.
Anytime, I know it goes to your city council or city commission.
Yes.
Anytime there's a question, they can always, JJ or
And they
Mayor
sent
can
me.
always contact me.
I've had this discussion with them. I mean, they're aware I'm here with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Gentlemen, any questions, comments? Anybody make a motion to make the changes beyond the date and the amount that we're paying? Okay.
That's already changed. I mean, you changed that.
Yeah,
I
I
did.
just put that in there.
I'll send out the EMS to, actually, you do EMS. Send out dispatch. I'll send out the ambulance to Ranger and then the 8 contracts. I'll do that in September. Once we get everything, we got to get all of our budget completely finalized, then we send out these contracts to everybody. Interlocal agreements, really what they are.
Right.
Okay. Okay, Chief Joe.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks for your time.
Okay. Do we need to take a short recess?
I'm making a
I heard you.
I think everybody made the motion, everybody seconded. All in favor, say aye. And we're in a short recess.
I voted on that one.
Both ladies voted on recess also.
Yeah.
Maybe time for coffee.
Okay, I'll be here that morning. Okay. If you'll email me what you need, I'll email it.
Is that until retirement?
Yeah. Third, all in favor, say aye. And we are back in session. Let's see if we can get on through this before we have to send out for lunch. Number 8 is discuss, should have proposed or pending contracts and agreements. There's not any that have come to me after we did the filing of the agenda. Anybody else have any contracts or agreements to present today? Okay.
I was gonna ask Miss Loretta, have you heard from Phil Jenny from
Jill Finney.
Phil, Jenny?
Phil Jenny.
Yes, Friday,
Sorry about that.
I got the approval. So the 3 of you that already came to court are good to go.
We're good to go? Thank you, ma'am.
Lazy.
Well, I had all my contracts. They just took too long. They all
They
expired.
timed out, right?
Yeah. All right, I got them turned in now.
All right. Anything else on contracts or agreements? All right. Number 9. Discuss and consider entering into a contract between Virtual Edge to Benchmark and County of Eastland to lease 2 new copiers for Justice Court. Judge Glenn, Judge Spear, both of you want to come down? Would you get them another chair over there, Commissioner Raines? Come on down, gentlemen. Judges?
I'll let you sit up front this time.
Oh, right.
I can move over.
Oh, you're fine.
Okay.
We just discussed that with you just now.
Yeah, we weren't.
We don't care if we get 2 brand new ones. We just want the one we got fixed.
Well,
Sorry.
okay, so last week we had problems trying to get anything emailed from my copier scanner fax and the fax line.
Mhm.
So Linda got on the phone and got with Kerry Hancock, and he remoted in. Within about 10 minutes, he had both of them working. He had to do the email for the scanner, then he had to do something about the phone to fix the phone line. And within 10 minutes, that was working. So I went down and told Stephanie if she would call Kerry right now, that she could probably get in to talk to him, and he could remote in at that point. So that was like Thursday or Friday of last week. I don't think either one of y'all were there. It was like the afternoon, I think. So
Okay.
where are we from that point? Did she remote in or get with him, or?
That we don't know, but we have had him look at that planter holder is basically what it is. And after 3 or 4 times and however many times he's billed us just to look at it, scratch his head, it still ain't working.
Not the copy machine. It's the phone service.
No, there's 2 separate items. There's the phone service for the fax, and then there's the email. I do a lot of scanning and emailing.
Oh yeah, that's a Kerry.
So Kerry fixed that because our email account switched, and our computer, basically a computer copier, it wouldn't support the new email functions. So he went in there and made some changes to the settings on the system, and it worked just like that. Now, I think one of y'all needs to probably call Kerry directly, and we've got the numbers. I gave all the numbers to Stephanie whenever I went down there, and get him to remote in and try to fix that. Y'all need that system up and running. I understand that. Buying a new system may not make it work.
Yeah.
You may have the same issue.
We don't care if it's new or not. We just want one working.
Okay.
So we'll get a hold of him. And
just get him to do the same thing he did.
A benchmark.
Well, if your problem is emailing,
Email or fax. We can't do anything.
okay, fax is a completely different issue that's going to have to be addressed. But email, Kerry can fix it. If it's something Kerry can't fix, he'll tell you need to get hold of, he'll say Xerox, but it's benchmark. Mm-hmm.
Well, he fixed our fax. He went into the phone system while Linda was on Betsy's machine up there and worked it through that system and fixed it for the phone and then for the email so the scanner would work as well.
Okay.
He did all that within about 10 minutes.
Okay.
15
We'll try that.
Okay. Well, I'm afraid if you spend the money, and I know it will be coming out of Justice Court Technology, which is a dedicated fund, I'd hate for you to spend that money and it still not work.
We don't want to spend money.
I know y'all are having to go to dispatch. You're having to walk up your forms from the jail to us. So you've got a machine. Let's see if we can make it work.
Yeah, that's all we want.
Okay.
And he'll actually be here Friday. If you'd like, I'll put you on the list for him to look at it Friday, unless you want to call him and let him
No, we can
remote
get
in.
by. We can get by.
Oh, I think go ahead and call him. Let's see
Go
if
ahead
it's
and
going to
call
work. That way we'll know by Friday.
Okay.
I think you ought to go ahead and call him. And if Stephanie
And
doesn't
then
have
if he
that,
needs to, he can look at it
if
Friday.
Stephanie doesn't have that note with all the names, numbers on there, call me and we'll get it back to you
Okay.
so you can call directly into him. I think what he's probably trying to do is call back to you guys and can't get through. And I think y'all got to make the call out to Kerry. That's what we did, and it worked pretty well.
Is that what's messing up the phones too? Because we get calls all the time. People saying we've been trying and trying.
Okay. Is your mailbox, if your mailbox is full, it reroutes it to somebody else. So you've got to check your messages and
Well,
they're going all over the courthouse too.
Yeah.
I went down there because I think Betsy went down there because Stephanie's mailbox was full. And so that's when it starts rerouting everything. And I don't know what Stephanie did, but she must have cleared out all the old messages. Then it started working better.
Okay. So
We
just
don't
make-
have mailboxes, and it still routes if they're on hold for a certain amount of time. Usually to the tax office.
Because of course, I know some of the people just saying it, but a lot of people say we've been trying for a week. Can't
Yeah, and I can tell when the mailbox is full because we start getting the calls up here.
Okay. So just make sure.
Make sure that the mailbox is kept cleaned out.
Yeah. Okay.
Check the messages, clear them out, and get ready for the next month.
Well, and if they call the phone and want to find out an Eastland County phone number, they give them mine, or I mean, I get calls for y'all all the time, and they've called information, and that's the only phone number they could find in there for Eastland County, and they give them my phone number at the yard. Yeah, you know, they scroll through there, and it just whatever Eastland County number pops up, that's what information gives people to call.
Okay.
Okay, so do you want us just to put the contract in here with the 2 new copiers? Just table that until you get something worked out.
We don't want them. If we can get this in one.
All right. Can we have a motion then to table item number 8 about the copiers for Justice Court?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay. Well, if one of you would give Terry a call directly to him, either he or Caleb, the guy that works with him, can probably go in there and remote it in and have it up and going for you, unless there's something totally different than what my problem was last week. Okay. All right.
No, I have no say.
Thank y'all.
I've got a whole long spiel to say.
All right.
Judge, we've had, but I will. We've had people work on, Terry's worked on our fax machines 100 times. Sexton supposedly has worked on our fax machines 100 times, and they cannot get it right.
Well, let's see if we can continue to try to make it work, because ours, at least they were working the end of last week just fine.
They'll work for a few days, and then they're back down again. Tell Terry that they need to turn those. They need to turn the copy machines down to 9600 baud. Yeah, you know what it's about.
All right.
Moving right along.
Moving right along. Discuss, consider signing amended provision of services agreement between Eastland County Children's Advocacy Center and County of Eastland. Ms. Keith.
When I was filing this agreement that was signed on the 11th, I believe, I noticed that the date at the top of the agreement said October 1st, 2021. So Gina Camacho just corrected. So it's the same agreement, just with that date change.
Okay. And so it's just this agreement up here on the very first heading up there where it references what date it was. I just missed that.
The other dates were correct.
That's my fault. All right. So can we have a motion?
I was going to make a motion. It was Judge's fault.
Bring it on, bro. Christmas is just 5 months away.
You learn that language from your grandson?
Yeah, Tyler.
He does a little bit of that. He's Texas.
You can tell he's hanging around with a teenager.
Bro. He's pretty hilarious. Grandpa's about to be, Grandpa's not as cool as he used to be, though, because he wants to hang with his buddies now more. And drive his pickup.
Step up your game.
I can't compete. I knew the day was coming.
For the bicycle ride, you're going to turn into motorcycle ride?
No, I'm not going to give him a motorcycle. And my knees have done all the bicycle riding they can do. I'm aged out of that system. It was fun while it lasted, though. Great memories.
About 20 days before school starts.
Thank you.
Just
Too long.
start Monday.
You want to give that one back to Gina?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I quit.
All right. Let's move to item number 11. Discuss, consider road crossing agreement with Colt and Midstream related to CR 337, Precinct 1. Mr. Maxwell.
Basic road crossing, their landfill line inside casing.
They do everything like they're supposed to do typically. And all right. And we have a motion then. This is the only one we've got, right?
Yes.
Can we have a motion then to approve the contract between, get this straight on here, Colt and Midstream related to County Road 337 in Precinct 1.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed, same sign, and that carries. Hand that by, and Kathy, will you make us some, have to be certified, get copies back to everybody that needs one?
Yeah, who's everybody that needs
Mr. Maxwell? I'd like one. Loretta'd like one, and I need to send one to Colt, so I guess Commissioner,
one? Oh, awesome. Okay.
would you send one to Colt then, also with that card? All right, next up is item number 12. Discuss, consider approving the contract with Western Towers. This is a communication tower that's out on FM 570. And they're asking us to sign this. They're calling it a 5-year lease, and this may be my fault too. I just take all the blame today because, well, I can. So they sent this to us, they say, last year, and I required some changes to be made to it. And I thought I sent it back to them, and they said about 2 weeks ago, they emailed it back and said this was never approved, never sent back to them for approval on their side. So they sent it back to us, and I'm bringing it to you today. They signed it on the 10th of May, and I never did sign it. But the price is the same as what we've been paying. It's $15.45 per quarter, which is the $61.80 per year that we paid for us to be able to use tower space in Western Towers. So regardless if it is my fault, it's my fault. But this is now going to be a 4-year contract because they say that it starts on October the 1st of 2021 and runs through September the 30th of 2026. So that's going to be a 4-year contract.
And we've been paying them.
We've been paying them, and the lady I've been dealing with said that she would like to go ahead and have it like it is and send me sign it and send it back to them. So with that, can I have a motion to sign and for the county to enter into this radio tower lease agreement with Western Towers out of San Angelo for the tower on FM 570?
Make the motion to sign it now.
I'll second if Andy will watch it.
If Andy will watch it, I'll move this out of the way where you can see it.
Let's see this.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. I'm putting the ink on the paper right now.
Are we sure? Did the girls look through the minutes?
No, we haven't looked through the minutes, but I think she's right, or she would have already had a copy of it. Somehow the signed copy didn't get back to her.
I don't have a copy of it either.
And so it got lost in my email world somewhere, probably. I don't know.
Have another one of those moments.
Yeah.
And my question is, who is emailing it? Because I believe they sent it to at least 3 of us.
I'd have to look back in the right here.
No, my question is your office returning the signed copy?
Now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. You need to watch
Person that sent it to me is Kayla Woods from Western Towers in San Angelo. So,
I will.
I will sign it, give it to you, Kathy, if you would, attest to them, and get me back a copy, and then I will send it back to everybody. Let's go ahead. I'll sign it. Oh, I want to sign it.
Okay. I wasn't taking it.
You're moving it around. All right, there is yours.
You want a testimonial, so
Yes.
thank you, ma'am.
And Kathy, if you'll get that back to me,
I sure
I
will.
will send it on to Western Tower so we don't go into a 3-year contract instead of a 4-year
Should I
contract.
make you sign for it?
I can. All right, just slip through there.
Would you like me just to email it to whoever the lady is?
If you want to.
You want me to attach your copy?
No, just you can have that. That's just something I printed out. I've got all the email stuff in dispatch.
Didn't you just show us?
I'm just keeping it for housekeeping. Just send me back whatever if you'll loop it in,
Gotcha.
you email it to her and to me and to Jason, we'll have it all.
Yes.
Just don't forget to do it.
I will do it.
Moving right along, Jim.
Moving right along.
It's getting close to lunch, Ron. You
If
gotta
I
It's
drop
tummy
if
growl.
I drop the ball, I apologize. Item 13, discuss, consider accepting filing of cybersecurity training certificates. And I do have several in here. I think these are all from the district attorney's office, which just about finishes out. There's one from Ruthie Yarborough. Doesn't need to be in there. So we've got several here from the district attorney's office and one from Ruthie Yarborough. Can we have a motion to accept these cybersecurity training certificates?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed, same sign. There you go. Okay. Job is about done there. And then we'll move on to item number 14, 911 update and cooperative dispatch update. Sheriff, anything on that?
No, nothing really. We've got, the servers going in. They're working on them behind the scenes. I had to put a air conditioner in that room and they had actually recommended it before the new servers too, but the new servers, there's too much heat being generated in there. We were able to get that done. Donnie went in and plumbed it in for me and all that. We just put one of those little portable ones in there. Works great. We've got the fiber deal has been delivered. They're still in the construction phase of doing that. We're still looking at another 2, 3, 4 months before that's done, but that's being worked on. We had to have a dedicated circuit ran into that room just for the air conditioner because it was drawing too much down from everything else. But other than that, we're just plugging along, every day. So.
Okay. Gentlemen, any questions or comments for
We
Sheriff?
finally got our last full-time position filled. She started last week, I think. So I think she'll be a good one.
Good.
She's been living in Alaska the last several years. She's
Yeah.
From Alaska at 49 to here at 109. Oh my gosh. Okay. Nothing then on that, and I don't have anything from 911 as far as the addressing. Item number 15, update on the county burn ban, and you've all been given a copy of an order restricting outdoor burning and welding operations. Sheriff Weger brought this to my attention last week, and he and I have worked on this to try to get something that's usable, something that his officer can enforce. It makes common sense. And if you're out welding or grinding, you need to be doing this anyway, which is basically adding to the bottom all areas where the welding, cutting, or grinding operations are being performed will be free of vegetation for at least 25 feet, all directions. Surface around the welding area will be wetted down. Wind speeds must be no more than 20 miles per hour while performing welding, cutting, or grinding operations outside of barriers or enclosures. A dedicated fire watch person will attend each welder, cutter, grinder, and any activity that causes a spark. And then lastly, a minimum of 1 pressurized water sprayer with adequate supply for each fire watch person is required. Sheriff Weger found most of that language out of another county and sent it to me, and I put it in there, try to make something hopefully it's usable. So we've not had to do one of these more restrictive burn bans in a number of years. Probably 2011, the last bad drought we had to do something similar. That's been 11 years ago. So
Is this additional to what we already have in place?
it's going to take the place of the one that's already in place. The language on the top up there, this burn ban will begin on July 25th, and it's the same language except for the date. The dates have been changed. The rest of the language is the same on this second paragraph as to what our burn ban is right now. And then we add up everything down below it that addresses welding and grinding and whatever.
Okay.
This isn't to try to stop anybody from working or anything like that. It's just try to make them a little safer. Most everybody is doing it already, but there's a couple out there that aren't. We just like to be able to tell them that they have to.
Well, if we don't have this on here and somebody gets a call and Jason's guys rolls up, then there's not really an enforceable burn ban, welding restrictions in place unless we do this.
Sheriff, I have a question on cattle. What is the law on cattle being out and say you call in? Is there a, I've heard y'all warn them 3 times and then you can find them. Is that true?
We can find them on the first one. We just
Can you?
generally don't.
I got you.
They're required to have them behind a fence and put up. We're not an open range. We're a closed range. 1929, I think. 1929. And then there's some more restrictions that the previous commission's report several years ago did on fencing. But we're not closed open range, so they have to have them behind a fence, and they have to have their fences in order. They have to be able to contain.
So if you get more than 2 calls on one person saying me, what would you do? All right, Robert.
We generally try to put them up and work with landowners and get a hold of them and call them and tell them to fix their fence and all that stuff. And we really generally bend over backwards to make that happen.
Yeah.
We've only cited a couple, and that's because we're out there every day.
Yeah.
They've not taken any measures to try to do it. And then we've also impounded them. I mean, the last resort, because it's a long, huge process to do that. But we can impound them and sell them and all that stuff, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes to it. But we really don't want. We try not to get into that.
Yeah.
We don't try to be against people and their cattle, and cows are going to get out. It happens. It's just when it's every day.
They're looking for something to eat.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. I've been seeing lots of cows out and they're getting hungry.
We are
I
dealing
think
with it every day, all day.
I fear you are getting it's getting worse and worse for you.
That's what it's constant.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, sir.
Okay, so good information. Back to the new burn ban, the welding operations restrictions. Anybody have any ideas of like it, don't like it, think it's a good idea, think Jason and I have lost our minds, or what do you think?
I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
Scary.
All right. We make the motion. We've got a second of adopting this new burn ban. It's an order restricting outdoor burning and welding operations. All in favor, say aye.
Yeah.
Aye as well. It is unanimous. And I will get that in here. I think, yeah, there's an attached at the bottom. I think I left you enough room on there to do it. If you will get that one back to me as well, please, ma'am. And we will get it out to the media and send it off to Texas Forest Service and then also to put it on the website for a personal website, our county website. Okay, that takes care of item number 15. Item number 16 is personnel matters. Ms. Keith.
You each have a report in front of you. The time period of the report is July 5th through July 21st. During that time period, there was there were two new hires, one full-time jail guard and one full-time telecommunicator. There were 3 employment terminations, one full-time assistant auditor, one full-time chief deputy sheriff, and one full-time jail guard.
Who's your chief deputy now? Oh, okay.
All right. Any questions or comments from personnel report? Anyone else have anything to add? All right. All right. Can we have a motion then to accept the personnel report as presented?
Motion.
Motion made, seconded. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed, same sign. And that carries. All right. Item number 17, budgetary and appropriative matters. 17A is certification of additional revenue.
There are none.
Okay. 17B is emergency amendments.
No emergency amendments.
That's good. 17C, amendment changes by fund.
That is what I have. There are 3 pages, and you'll see over in the right column that most of them are certification of additional revenue, adjustments for overages or adjustments within budgets.
All right, gentlemen, questions, comments?